Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another GTA Online Casino DLC video. My name is SaintsFan, and today the brand new sports car, the Vysser Neo, was released. It comes in at $1.87 million, a pretty expensive sports car. Is it worth it, though? That's what we're here to find out. Now, the title of this video says buyer beware. The one thing you should know before buying this new sports car. And I want to talk about that first because there is one big issue with this car. And unfortunately, it's something Rockstar, they haven't seemed to figure out, because this is something that has happened on a number of cars that have released over the last couple of years. Most notably, the Italy GTO. Now, what causes this is kind of, I think it's undetermined. Some people have speculated it's the advanced handling flags. I don't know exactly what happens behind the scenes, but basically for some of these new cars, the Neo included, when you're driving on a non-flat road, which is the entire map basically except for the airport, if you hit small bumps or if the road changes, your car, instead of gripping to the ground and staying on the ground on the road, it will actually pop up, and most of the time this causes you to lose control. And you're probably seeing that in the gameplay. Now, look, I understand I'm not like the greatest driver, but you can see that just driving around, it does bounce a lot. And that is what's unfortunate. Now, this car is super fast, and you may be seeing that as well. We'll get more into some speed tests here in a second, but it's one of the unfortunate things Rockstar haven't figured out. They did tone it down on the Italy GTO with this casino update. I'll show some gameplay. This is the Italy GTO. I mean, this thing is just insane. I don't know how anyone can drive this around and actually control it. I mean, the car just goes all over the place. It's a lot of fun, and you know, driving this can be a lot of fun, especially if you can somehow tame the vehicle. But at least to me, it's only fun for like a good minute or two, because then you just keep losing traction, you keep running into stuff, and it's like, okay, I gotta switch to another car that I can actually drive without running into everything. But hopefully you maybe saw there on the Italy GTO the same bounciness happening. Going back to the Neo, at least in free roam, and I guess this does apply to some races, like the more realistic races, you're going to be experiencing this bounciness a lot. And that's just the one thing I wanted to let you guys know about. Like, you're going to be spending a lot of money in this car, 1.9+ million if you're customizing it. And while it is fast, while it looks incredible, while it's got some really cool customization that we'll all get into, the one thing that just may prevent you from actually using this car is that bounciness, is the handling, is the traction or lack of traction. So I did just want to start the video by clearing up that one issue. If you don't care about that, all right, let's find out if this car is worth it. So customization, we'll start with that. This thing, I mean, it's not Benny's level, but it's got a decent amount of customization and some really good customization. You can change like the back of the engine, a bunch of different options there. You can change the roof. You have a primary, a secondary, and a trim color. You have a ton of different options. There's even some really cool liveries that apply to this car. Customization is just, it's a solid customizable car. This is actually going to be a really cool car for car shows, which are going to be coming back. I got to work out the details and see how we can all do it. But with the new casino parking garage, we're definitely bringing car shows back. Also, and this ties into customization, the looks. The front of this car, I mean, this is just subjective, but the front of this car looks incredible. The side of this car looks incredible. I actually really dig the rims. I know that some people may not like them, but I really, really do like the stock rims. They're definitely super unique. The only part is the back. The back is a little weird, but honestly, I'm kind of getting used to it, and I'm kind of not hating it as much as I originally did, which I thought would be the case, but it is just something I don't mind anymore. So I don't think, like, if you were hating the back, I don't think that'll be that big of an issue if you're not, or if you're wanting to get this vehicle. Now, the performance, obviously one of the most important aspects of this vehicle. We are just doing this like we normally do on the airport racing. This isn't like any racing tests. This is simply just judging it against other cars in a free roam environment where there's all kind of variables that come into play. And also we're seeing the acceleration and the top speed. And that's actually going to be super beneficial if you're into stunt races, because most stunt races, you're driving on straight lines for a lot of the race and you're not really turning a whole bunch. You're not really hitting a bunch of obstacles and stuff in your way. But performance, we tested it against a couple of cars and actually some supercars. Because, yes, this is a sports car, but it does actually beat some supercars. The first one here is the Wagner. I am in the Neo. We're going against the Wagner. And the Wagner, in the long run, I believe it will eventually catch up. Or I think the top speed may be like slightly higher. But the Neo's got such good acceleration, and its top speed is almost as good as the Wagner that it basically continues and maintains its lead throughout these tests. So the Wagner, regarded as one of the best racing cars, the best racing supercars in the game, in these tests here, I mean, it's getting beat. So I will say the Neo, it's got some amazing acceleration. I think even despite being a rear wheel drive car, it doesn't spin out like most other cars do. And then you do maintain that top speed. Now, on the airport here, since this is a completely flat piece of land, you don't get the bumpiness. So if you are in free roam, driving around in the city or on an interstate, or in some races, obviously the bumpiness is going to come into play. So you're going to be losing some control, probably a lot of control, actually, if you are maintaining these higher speeds. But it does beat the Wagner. So that's interesting because that's a supercar going against a sports car. Now, going to some sports cars, I just wanted to show you guys against the OG Massacro, one of the best sports cars in the game a couple years ago. And honestly, the Massacro, I mean, like, it holds its own. It's obviously not going to beat it. In the longer tests when we take the turn, the Massacro it gets beat once we basically take the turn, because the Massacro's got some good acceleration, but its top speed is just not anywhere near close to any of the newer cars, really. So it's obviously going to get smoked. But against the Pariah, I was curious to see, because like the Pariah is like the GOAT car in the game still. It goes as fast as these new cars without having the crazy handling where the car just bounces everywhere. And naturally, the Pariah wins. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be ever a car that beats the Pariah. So I guess the Pariah is still the #1 sports car, but I will say the Neo, like, if you're tired of the Pariah, and if you want a better looking car than the Pariah, because the Pariah looks so bad, at least to me it does, the Neo, like, this is going to be probably a pretty competitive car if you are using it for that aspect. In a straight line, clearly you're not going to beat the Pariah, but in other aspects, you might have a shot, or it'll be at least a little closer. And hey, you look good while you're doing it, because ain't no one look good in the Pariah. But this Neo, you be looking pretty good in it. We also tested it against the Italy GTO, which is another sports car that is actually the most expensive sports car. I think it's 1.9 mil, where the Neo is like 1.8 mil. It's a very negligible difference, but the Italy GTO is a little bit more expensive. And it's also a little bit faster. I guess the trade-off is that while the Italy GTO is faster, its handling and traction is crazier and way harder to handle. So you just got to figure out what you're looking for. If you just want balls to the wall craziness, you pick the Italy GTO. But if you still want if you kind of want to go crazy while still maintaining some control, you pick the Neo. But do keep in mind, both of these have some pretty crazy bounces that'll happen when you're just driving around. Now, testing it against probably one of the top tier supercars, the Devastate 8. Naturally, the Devastate 8 is going to smoke it. So it's not beating all supercars, but it does hold its own, the Neo does, against some of the mid-tier supercars, like the T20, for instance, and like the Wagner, as you saw earlier. So I would say performance-wise, at least in the acceleration and top speed and everything, it's amazing for a sports car. Now, it just sucks that amazing doesn't mean a whole bunch because we have the stupid Pariah. Like, I really wish they could fix that car or balance it properly. At least the Italy GTO, while it's crazy fast and can go that speed, you have to deal with the bounciness. The Pariah, there's like almost no negative consequences to using that vehicle. I think if you were to rank the sports cars, though, the Pariah is still the number one. The Italy GTO, if you're looking just for speed and you don't care about the bounciness and the handling and all that, then it's going to be number 2. And then the Neo's number 3. But honestly, I'd probably put the Neo at number 2 because it's a little bit easier to control. It's not as crazy, and it looks a lot better. The customization's a lot better, and it's slightly cheaper than the Italy GTO. So that's sort of where I stand on this vehicle. Is it worth it? Yes, if you have a decent amount of money. Like, this isn't going to be a vehicle that is completely necessary for GT Online. If you're doing sports races, just stick to the stupid Pariah. If you're just driving around, probably you're going to be using a different car just because of how annoying this car can sometimes be. But if you just want a slick looking car for your garage, for car shows, then this is a fantastic car. Also, one thing I didn't mention in the performance review, and it's hard to describe this and it is hard to show you guys this in the gameplay, but the turning on this vehicle is kind of stiff. It does, to me at least, sort of feel like you're turning a bus, like kind of a mini bus in a way. It just wasn't as good turning wise as some of the other vehicles that I've driven in the game. So I just thought I'd mention that too. Let me know in the comment section though, what do you think about the Vysser Neo, the first car of this manufacturer actually? Do you like it? Did you buy it? Are you going to buy it? And what are your thoughts on it as a whole? Thank you all for watching. That's going to do it for this video. Hopefully this answered the question, should you buy it? Or hopefully this gave you the information to answer that question for yourself. I'll be picking one of these up, probably just throw in my garage, but it's probably not going to see too much free roam usage. Anyways, that is it with the video. Thank you all for watching. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.